welcome to a very special NCAA Lacrosse Championship episode of Get the Lax Scoop.
Absolutely.
John, are there any guests today?
None.
No.
We don't need any.
No. We have plenty to talk about, Jay.
Why is that?
We're coming to you on the precipice of the NCAA Lacrosse tournament. In fact, 2 play-in games have already taken place, Jay. We're already into playoff action.
It's incredible. So exciting. All right, next up, we've got Coach Tambroni for the number 5 Penn State Nittany Lions versus Colgate. Colgate is the Patriot League champion. Penn State went 10-4 this season. Colgate went 10-7. Colgate has Matt Carwick at the helm. Ron, you want to jump into this one?
Yeah, well, Jay, I'm just here to provide the Brown connections.
Okay.
In every game, and one of the best young coaches in the game, Jamie Monroe's son, is the offensive coordinator at Colgate.
That's
doing
right.
Some incredible things there.
That's right. I totally forgot. Good work.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm here, Jay, to help you remember.
Ron. Pick up the pieces for me.
It was interesting because Colgate got off to a very hot start and then kind of struggled in the middle of the season. And I think was kind of forgotten, and then made a huge run in the Patriot League tournament to get into the dance. Yeah. So I don't know. Something tells me that they may give Penn State all they can handle. So I think this could be, not unlike the Carolina Richmond game. I think this could be a good game. I think that program's been getting better and better, and has proven, over the last few years that they can compete with some of the top teams. So it'll be interesting. Did
you say unlike the Carolina Richmond game, or just like?
Well, that must have been a misstep on my part, Jay. I think it was like the Carolina Richmond game.
Okay.
I think this one has the chance to be a very good game, Jay.
Yeah. I mean, Colgate, I can check my notes here, Ron, if you don't mind. They had wins over Harvard, Albany, Villanova. They lost to Army and BU in the regular season, but they beat them both in the Patriot League playoff to win that championship. Probably their first Patriot League championship, I would think, in their history. That's pretty impressive. I mean, Army was legit. I watched Army UNC during the season when they were definitely both at full strength. And that was one of the best games I saw. It was like 14-13. Army pulled it out. It was like all these ties, all these lead changes. So, yeah, interesting. Penn State is the only team that beat Cornell, though. And I did actually watch that game as well. So Penn State's no joke.
Jay, I think this, first of all, I want to pause since you brought up Army, and I have a great deal of respect for Coach Alberici, and I'm just, so disappointed for them. They were clearly the first team out and, had a hell of a year.
14-2 record, I believe.
Oh,
crazy.
To have that kind of a year and not get in is just crushing. And they had some big wins early on, and just crazy. Tough. It says a lot about how competitive the field is and how competitive. Again, for a team like that who had that kind of a year, to lose to Colgate in the semifinals of the tournament just tells you again how competitive the game is getting.
Absolutely.
So anyway, hats off to Coach Alberici up at Army and the great job that he's done.
Yeah, I mean, Riker, one of their attackmen, is going to be like a first-team All-American.
Yeah, he's a teamwork finalist. Iker. Yeah, thank you, Jay, for again getting the names being on top of that.
Number 7, he had 7 absolute cranks against UNC. I mean, it was amazing.
Jay, I think the other story of this tournament for me, as we broaden out, and Penn State fits this category, Carolina, I wouldn't be surprised to see either one of those teams go on a run, and I also wouldn't be surprised to see either one of them lose in the first round.
I know. It's true.
So I think there's so many teams on this list who have kind of shown flashes of brilliance, but haven't been consistent, for the exception of Cornell throughout the year. So I think that makes for a really interesting tournament.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I feel like this is one of the first seasons, where anyone really could win it. I mean, no joke. I mean, Cornell, that game that I saw against Penn State, they were winning that game 12-8 with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game, and they lost. It was crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, so like, Penn State's 10-4, but they beat clearly the best team in the country. So, they're not infallible. They could lose. And it would be a shocker, but Penn State could go all the way. So could Colgate. So it'll be great to see.
Jay,
Steve,
your pick, please. Jay, your pick, please.
I think we need to hear from Mr. Grisalfi, if you don't mind,
All right, I'll make the pick first this time.
because that affects my pick.
I was actually very surprised to see that the beloved Penn State University came in second to Colgate in the Yelp reviews, 4.1 to 3.7. I was surprised by that because I know
Ooh, that's
everybody loves Penn State.
that was a shocker.
Have you ever been
obviously,
to Colgate? It's fucking freezing there.
I
It's very
know.
cold.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that
4.1,
ranking.
4.1 stars on Yelp.
Yeah, impressive, Steve.
Um,
All three of them.
Now the meal plan is actually almost double at $9,100 versus 53. The Nittany Lion would clearly beat whatever a Raider is. Nothing beats a Mountain Lion. But we have some pretty strong names on the Colgate roster. We have Rhett Ziegler and Kyle Van Dam.
Man, damn, he's a
Dammer.
man.
A Van Dam?
A
Kyle
dammer.
Van Dam, very strong
love it.
roster up at Colgate. But Penn State has three brothers, Roman, Perry, and Luca DeBartolomeo.
Whoa.
Says here that they led the Big Ten in penalty minutes for violating RICO statutes, and their position just says muscle.
Wow.
So I have on my board here, I have Penn State winning, and I'm going to have a 16-10 game here.
Nice.
Jay, what do you got?
Beautiful. I am going to go with, drum roll, please, the Nittany Lions. And I'm going to say 14-8. Their defense is very tough. Penn State's defense is actually number 5. Their goalie, Gracion's very good. Colgate, has scored a lot of points, but I'm going to take a risk and just go 14-8.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Nittany Lions as well.
So much for the run, Ron.
Yeah,
By any
well,
team.
I-
You're
you
going to
know,
pick an upset here or what?
Not so far, Jay. Not so far. It's early, Jay.
Not
And
much of a
I
risk
think this will
taker,
be
are you,
I
Ron?
think this will be a 12-7 kind of game. That's what I think, Jay.
Coming very close to my score, but okay.
Jay, we're going to move on now to what I think is one of the most intriguing games. And this is my NCAA selection committee screw of the tournament.
Ooh.
The Buckeyes 14-2. You beat Maryland in the Big Ten championship. You beat Notre Dame in the regular season, and your present for that, as the 4 seed, is to have the defending national champion come to you in the
Right.
first round.
Right.
That-
There you go.
That, Jay, is what I would say a colossal screw.
Yeah. You went 14-2. Here you go. Congratulations.
And Jay, this is one of my big complaints that I'd like to put forward. Enough of this regional foolishness
Oh my God.
in
It's so
the
obvious.
NCAA tournament.
But
Right?
they
We're
claim
getting
they don't do that.
30,000 people at the Final Four. They're making money. These kids are busting their asses.
Hand over
to
fist, they're making
perform.
money.
And then there's the seedings do not reflect the actual performance during the season.
Nothing's changed since back when we played. And the 3 of the 4 Final Four teams, we had lost to 1 in OT, had beaten Loyola. This is 1990. And of course, we got killed by Syracuse, but so did everybody. Who was the other team? Whatever. Oh, it was UNC. We didn't play them. I think it was UNC, 1990. But anyway, they screwed us, and they just keep doing it. I mean, that was 35 years ago. Come on.
Jay, glad you're holding a grudge there. That's nice. I like how you bring it back to us. That's excellent.
Of course.
I remember
Go
I
ahead,
remember a
Ron.
big win at Loyola, Jay, that you led us back to. I say I have to
Oh.
hesitate to give you
Oh.
a compliment.
Ah,
But,
who could
Jay,
forget?
Back to my one big pet peeve. Enough. The NCAA is making all this money.
Yeah.
And again, they do not make it about the student athletes and their performance throughout the season
Why
in the
would they?
national championship
Make as
tournament.
much money as they possibly can. Who gives a
Enough,
shit?
Jay.
Right?
Enough.
Ridiculous.
All right, on to the matchup, Jay. What do you have here?
Well, as you mentioned, OSU is the Big Ten champs, and they lost their first game. Listen to this, to Utah,
I know.
19-13. I mean,
I
Utah
know.
was pretty good, but Ohio State was really good this year. I was like, wow, I thought they were going to be good this year. I don't know if they're that good. They go 11 wins in a row. before they lost to Maryland. Maryland beat them 13-8. And then they go on a run. They beat Rutgers. They avenge the loss to Maryland, beat them 14-10, and they're the Big Ten champs. So amazing. They've got some great players. Big Tasty in the goal. They've got this guy Mariner on attack. Ron, he was a defenseman. Not many defensemen are converted to attack, and he slings it. He's got a stroke like our friend Rich Toohey. Ron,
Wow.
I remember that was a consideration for you now, wasn't it?
Absolutely, Jay. Big, strong, dodging, right-handed attackman. Absolutely.
Imagine, dog. It would be
Absolutely.
like,
No
we'll get to
question.
Coach Byrne in a minute, but remember Coach Byrne said, "Oh, I was covering this guy. It was so big. It was like trying to cover Sasquatch. You just couldn't do it." That could have been you, Ron.
Could have been,
Ron,
Jay. I could have been
Sasquatch
somebody,
Douglas.
Jay. I could have been somebody.
Could have been a contender. But anyway, Ohio State, very powerful. But hey, Notre Dame, 8-4, but they still could beat anyone. They've got wins over Georgetown, Duke, UVA, UNC. Lost to Maryland 11-10, lost to Ohio State 10-9. One of them, or maybe both of those games, was OT. So Notre Dame was pretty darn close to being 10-2. And then strange thing is Notre Dame lost to Syracuse twice. So hey. But they got Chris Kavanaugh, they got Jake Taylor, they got Sean Light on defense, they got Lynch, Long Islander from Rockville Center as a stalwart faceoff man. So they're going to be tough. Ron, I want to hear your breakdown.
Yeah, Jay, this is a really tough game to pick, I think. And, because you got to believe Ohio State's got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They've got momentum coming out of the Big Ten tournament, and they've proven they can beat anybody in the country. But I don't know, Jay. I just feel like that Notre Dame team, they have now proven that they know how to win this time of year. And I remember listening to an interview with Kevin Corrigan about Faison, their great midfielder, who is a great wide receiver on their football team, and he didn't even let him play in the first few games. I think everything they're doing right now is to prepare for May,
Right.
and so
that might be why he only has like 10 goals, but
I know
that might be why.
But Jay, you get to this time of year, and those are the kind of athletes like I want that kid on the field this time of year. So I don't know. I also, Notre Dame also just this time of year, their defense year in and year out, their system, their athletes. I think I got to go with Notre Dame in this one. But again, it's yet another game where you feel like either one of these teams could also win the national championship. Like,
right.
and so
they definitely could.
While honestly, Ohio State's been the more consistent team, right? As you mentioned, since that loss to Utah, their only losses to Maryland, which they just avenged. So
right.
How do you pick against that team?
Right. Right.
And
because you've got a screw loose, Ron. That's why I'm picking Ohio State.
Apparently, here I was giving the big speech about how Ohio State got screwed, and now I'm going to pick Notre Dame to win that game.
They really got screwed.
Jay, 10-8.
Ooh. All right. I like it. I'm going to go 12-11 Ohio State. They won the first one 10-9. They're going to notch it up a little. I'm going Ohio State, but I agree. This is definitely a toss-up. I would say 50-50 because Notre Dame, they both are very athletic, both of these teams.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame is just crazy on the ground balls. And obviously ground balls and possessions are huge in the playoffs. And they've been so streaky. It's really weird that they lost to Syracuse twice. I mean, I guess sometimes a team might just have your number, but Syracuse is very nifty. They got great sticks. They're not that athletic. So it amazes me. I could see maybe they get by Notre Dame once, but it's amazing. It shakes my confidence a little, is what I'm saying, that they got beat twice by a team that they're clearly better than. So, but I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go Ohio State 12-11. And enough of this. Let's see what Grisalfi has to say.
This was a tough one, guys. So, according to Yelp reviews, Notre Dame has the slight edge at 4.5 to 4.2. Buckeye versus a leprechaun. Buckeye's a tree, so you got to figure like a drunk leprechaun's just going to not even know that he's fighting a tree. So definitely, I'm going to go Ohio State there. Meal plans are only off by $200. It's tough, but here's where Ohio State wins in a rout. With Notre Dame, the best names on the roster are Drew Winokur and Brock Berman. but Ohio State has Johnny Cool. I mean,
Ooh,
like,
what's the
so
guy's name?
hands down, Ohio State wins the roster name criteria. ChatGPT thinks that Ohio State's going to win, so do I. So I'm going to go Ohio State, and I'm going to go 15-13.
Ooh, I like it. And they've got the best nickname for anyone probably in all of D1 lacrosse. Their goalie's nickname is Big Tasty.
Big
And he's about
Tasty.
6'3", like 295. I mean,
Right.
the hell
Again,
of a
another
goalie.
thing that I could have done, Jay. I could have just gotten in that goal.
Go with it, Ron.
Jay,
Right.
this is a little known. I don't know if I've told this story on this podcast, but
Let's hear it. Story time. Let's hear it.
my very first year of lacrosse, when I moved from Pennsylvania to Annapolis, Maryland, I had seen one lacrosse game in my life, actually, at Penn State University.
Ooh.
And when you move to Maryland, in Annapolis, in that time, nobody's playing baseball. Everybody's playing lacrosse. So I go out and play lacrosse.
You didn't even have a baseball team.
They take one look at me and stick me in the goal, Jay.
Wow, I'm shocked.
At that age, they were like, put the fat kid in the goal. He'll cover up a lot of the goal. And you know my cat-like reflexes, Jay.
Oh my gosh, hand speed.
I played one full season as a goalie in 7th grade.
And then you went on the Slim Fast diet and said, I'm
there was no
D.
Slim Fast back then, Jay. And then I moved to my rest of my career to the defensive position.
Well, I remember seeing that play where you ran into the goal on the fast break. You were looking kind of svelte before you started rolling.
Well, Ron was always fast. Ron was always fast. You know, that was never an issue. He was a prisoner of inertia in that video where
could not change direction.
There was no stopping that.
Right. Steve, once I get going, once I get moving, you might remember a certain time I tried to go out a door at the fraternity house and people tried to stop me. Don't get in my way.
Oh God, no.
Once that train gets moving, Steve.
There's no stopping it. Not even if you're an 80-pound girl.
Oh gosh, that poor girl. Pancake. You need a spatula.
That's a little
to get
too
her
much
off the
information
floor.
for the podcast, Steve. Thank you very much.
Trying to keep it clean here. Beautiful, beautiful.
All right.
Yeah. So Steve, what do you got? That was Ohio State too?
Ohio State 15-13.
All right. Nice.
He made his pick already, Jay.
I know
along,
he did. I wanted to
please.
get the score. Thank you.
All right.
Until we meet again, here's to hoping you find the twine. We're signing off here at the Get the Lax Scoop. Thanks again so much. We will see you the next time.